High in the rugged foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains lies one of the world's oldest and most unusual electrical plants. The Mount Whitney Power Station was sparked to life in June of 1899, a time when electricity was virtually unknown to most Americans. This plant, tiny by today's standards, proved to be an important pivot point in history, forged into existence by a relentless rivalry between brothers. The attempted overthrow of a government, the reversal of a death sentence, the cutting down and eventual salvation of giant sequoia trees over 1,000 years old, and a $500 silk suit that would alter the course of history. The grand experiment began with little fanfare along a desolate stretch of the Kaweah East Fork River. A steel gate was cranked open, diverting forces older than the mountains themselves. Gravity and water. From here, the water was funneled into a wonder of construction. A wooden chute, called a flume, built along treacherous ridges by men of steel nerves. This marvel seemed to defy the very laws of physics as it hugged the mist along sheer granite slopes. And while the Kaweah River continued on its plunge down one of the steepest riverbeds in the world, the channeled water sprinted through its confines, twisting and turning with the landscape for a full 6 miles. Its destiny was sealed. This water would serve man. 1 hour after being lured from the wild, the water now flowed 1,300 feet above the river. From this height, its potential energy was enormous. This was the treasure. This was the power that the founders of the Mount Whitney Company had exhausted so much blood, toil, and money to capture. Like alchemists, they hoped to transform it into pure gold. And so they did. In a final and dramatic act, the water shot down from the flume, down a long steel pipe to a deceptively ordinary-looking shed waiting on the valley floor. Here, forces great enough to shear a man in half, the water fired through a narrow nozzle, spinning a mass of magnets and copper wire to ultimately create a new and unique form of usable power: electricity. Almost overnight, this lone pioneer of renewable energy dramatically changed the fortunes of Tulare County, sparking a vision of what was to come for California, and indeed for the entire United States and the world. Maybe most astonishing of all is that as the decades have rolled on and the power industry morphed into monster coal, oil, gas, and nuclear plants, the little hydro plant that could has remained steadfast. The water still flows. And well over a century after this grand experiment began, the plant continues to provide clean, reliable electricity, even today. So we answer the question, how did this all come to be? The tale is as serpentine as the wooden flume itself, a rollicking and little-known adventure that snakes its way through the late 1800s, beginning with a pair of competitive, driven, and ultimately very different brothers.